Uh-huh. Okay. Understood. Buddymeister,
Yes, sir.
there's a terrorist threatening our beloved city with a bomb. I want you to find that bomb.
Okay, sir.
Are you married?
Yes, sir.
Do you have kids?
Yes, sir.
Are you afraid?
No. Yes, sir.
What?
Well, of course I'm afraid. I don't want to die. Sorry, sir.
Stop. 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 You wanna stop? Stop. You wanna stop?
Servus Freunde, my name is Jimmy Cage.
And I'm Deniz, the Buddymeister.
This week we took a chance and watched another Neeraj Pandey movie. We've already reviewed Special 26, which we liked, and Baby, which we didn't like that much. So I guess it was a 50-50 chance with Pandey's A Wednesday.
A Wednesday is from 2008 and it was Pandey's very first movie as a writer and director. The movie stars Anupam Kher and Naseeruddin Shah as the two opposing lead roles, and Jimmy Shergill and Amir Bashir in supporting roles as hard-hitting, tough-as-nails cops. And let's get right to it, Jimmy. What did you think of A Wednesday?
I can't say that I hated it, but I'm almost at that point, to be honest.
Okay, that bad?
Well, yes, but should we start with all the things that I didn't like about this movie?
Well, why not? I mean, I didn't hate it. I thought it was a fairly entertaining action thriller, but it's not really a good movie. It's simply too incompetently made in some regards. But let's talk. Come on, I can see the anger boiling up inside you.
Okay, so firstly, Wednesday is a rather trashy B-movie, but in my mind, when it comes to the conclusion, it strives to be something much more important, and I had a huge problem with the message and the ideology. It wavers between being a cliched cop thriller with a cool kid hacker, slow motion, and the most silly punching sounds ever, and being a serious political film about terrorism in India.
Yeah, I can see that, but I wouldn't make this clear distinction. I mean, I don't think that the producers of the movie went along saying, let's make a trashy B-movie, folks. I see it more in the context of the Indian film industry in general. Wednesday is a crystal clear attempt to make a Jason Bourne-like movie, a fast-paced thriller with a lot of action, or rather tension. It's a crime mystery film about a terrorist who threatens to set off several bombs in the city of Mumbai, and a police department that's trying to stop him. On the surface, it's an entertaining genre movie.
Yeah, I agree, and that's totally fine, but from a certain point onwards, I couldn't accept it anymore just as this diverting thriller. In a technical department, Wednesday is alright, nothing special, but an okay watch for sure.
Okay, the editing, it's fast as hell sometimes, but I guess we've grown accustomed to that by now, and it doesn't bother me, it fits the movie.
It actually didn't bother me at all this time either, and I'm usually someone who can become quite annoyed by something like that. It was also decently shot, which isn't a huge compliment, but it certainly did create some atmosphere and tension.
It reminded me of Hong Kong movies from the 80s and 90s. The camera is flying around all over the place, but A Wednesday feels like an 80s or 90s movie in general, don't you think?
It does. It feels like a movie. It has a proper look, but in the end all of that isn't worth much if the rest is not convincing, especially the message that the movie tries to convey, or more so the mindset it is set in.
Before you go on, I have to say that you changed my perspective of this movie quite a bit. After I watched it, I didn't think about the message or the morale in greater depth. I didn't take it that seriously. I looked at it as a simple entertainer that implements a debatable message to stir things up.
Well, debatable message is the thing here. I'm so allergic to movies that are okay, or let's say, in content with their message without bringing it into question.
Well, you have to explain it.
Okay. With A Wednesday, it's like that. If characters in a movie represent a certain message that I'm not agreeing with, that's fine. For example, when a movie portrays a character that's sexist or racist, that doesn't mean the movie itself is sexist or racist. But this film comes down to a very questionable moral and political view that I don't agree with at all. And I didn't feel as if the movie had any problem whatsoever with how it ended. In the end, it is about justifying violence and murder, and I was really sickened by it.
I guess we're going into spoilers now, so if you haven't seen A Wednesday, you might want to check it out first, or don't, it's your choice.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay, go on.
Okay, our villain, the common man, is thought to be a terrorist that threatens the city with bombs. But then it turns out that he actually wants to kill terrorists to make the city a better and safer place. So he murders 3 terrorists with a bomb and makes sure that the 4th terrorist that survived the bomb blast gets killed by the cops. And that happens just like that.
Yeah, the cops are really terrible. I mean, the way they are portrayed. No real negotiations or anything. The common man wants something and they, as state authority, are at his service. What are they doing?
The worst thing is that the movie kinda celebrates this common man who doesn't want to put up with the terrorism anymore and who more or less is saying that drastic times call for drastic measures. So we essentially go pro-death penalty and we love it. An eye for an eye.
I guess that could have worked if it was done in another way. It's obvious that they tried to make you think about what humans are able to do and what terrorism and violence can cause and trigger in people, but this movie is just too forgiving.
The attitude is simply not okay, and that's what I meant with being allergic to it. If they are telling me, hey, we can do it, let's kill all those fuckers, without showing me the slightest remorse or at least reflectiveness in that decision, it doesn't work for me.
That's very true. I mean, the twist, which I didn't expect in this case, but you did?
Yes, I did.
Well, the twist was okay. You know, I wasn't bored out of my mind, the overall pace is fine, and this cat and mouse game works to a degree. But yeah, the message or the result is more than questionable, and I think Neeraj Pandey has a knack for telling things in this way. But Baby and Special 26 were probably more positioned as genre movies.
Absolutely, and that's the difference. To be fair, if you take the Rambo movies with Sylvester Stallone, for example, ideologically they are highly questionable as well. But contrary to A Wednesday, they are so bananas and escapistic that they work. These movies acknowledge themselves as action-packed B-movies. A Wednesday has such moments for sure, and the setting, for example, is very much in that vein. Just the visual alone of this terrorist that's sitting high above the city. That location was really awesome. But in the finale, it seemed to become the moral high ground as well, and that's really problematic for me. But maybe the difference is that movies like Rambo 2 and 3 have such strong focus on pure action that I don't mind the dumb attitude. I know that this approach is also problematic, but I can differentiate it better and watch it more just as an entertaining, also cathartic, but always exaggerated fictitious war action fantasy. But A Wednesday concludes with this big reveal and somehow appreciates the bravery of the terrorist. There's no big action B-movie finale of any sort. I assume that many people who love this film, and it actually has a super high rating on the IMDb, love that ending and the idea that the common man is able to do something like that. And that alone is something that I would have really liked. A common man who becomes a terrorist himself because of the world he lives in and because of this feeling of helplessness.
That's a good point. The fear of becoming a victim of an attack, even if it's statistically highly unlikely, it's still there. With more and more news across all kinds of media, it can definitely create this unsafe atmosphere and change the way people look at things in the world. This frustration and loss of control.
Definitely. And to channel those feelings and make a person who is normally on the side of the victims the aggressor is fascinating. But the problem arises if the film is siding with behavior like that in the end, and it's siding with it in a way that's far too real. For me, it became this political sort of right-wing narrative that we have to be as inhumane as those who kill people in cowardly terrorist acts. I think that's very dangerous. We don't have to lower ourselves to their levels, and we also won't end terror and murder that way. But maybe I'm misreading it. Please let me know if you took it otherwise. We've seen 2 films by Neeraj Pandey and both are very hardline when it comes to violence. We are also no real experts when it comes to Indian politics, but what we do know is that, like in so many other countries as well, there are strong tendencies to very brutal mindsets, fear-mongering, no mercy, our country before everything else, and so on. And the ending of A Wednesday didn't leave me in a positive way at all, but very troubled and kind of angry.
Yeah, but let's close the discussion at this point. I think I can understand very clearly what you mean, but I want to make a cut now and talk about something that was really off-putting for me. The use of music, because the music is very flashy and not in a good way. We know by now that music in Indian movies is oftentimes used in other ways than in Western movies, and that's actually something that we both grown to like. but in a Wednesday it is done very clumsy and awkward.
I know it was Pandey's debut, but still we get scenes where the music is played for a few seconds and then it just stops. It definitely would have been a better choice, at least in some scenes, if they just excluded it completely, because this way it's totally out of place.
This is good, this is good, this is good, this is good.
Come on!
This is good.
Okay.
Right, the editing in regards to the music and the sound in general is not good. And by the way, some of the music is directly stolen from Hollywood movies. For example, we have this little snippet of the track Mary Goes to Jesus from John Debney's score to The Passion of the Christ during one of the scenes in the bus.
You are a detective.
हम लोग निकल चुके हैं।
कहाँ?
स्टेशन पर हूँ, ट्रेन पकड़ने वाली हूँ। पता नहीं क्या प्रॉब्लम है आज। कुछ ज्यादा ही चेकिंग चल रही है।
But it fits the overall picture, and even if I ignore the ideology behind the film, I wouldn't really see this as anything more than just alright.
Yeah, you know, in my mind, A Wednesday is an okay movie. The actors are fine, the twist is fine, some of the action is fine, the cinematography is also fine, and even if it weighs more heavily for you, I side with you on all the other stuff. So you get this one. What would we say in German?
A Wednesday ist ein halbwegs durchschnittlicher B-Movie-Thriller, den ich am Ende des Tages aufgrund seines Twists und der Haltung, die er dem gegenüber vermittelt, aber leider doch für extrem fragwürdig und ganz ehrlich auch ziemlichen Mist halte. Therefore, I can give A Wednesday no more than 4 out of 10. It's more like 4.3, but I don't do that.
For me, it's a straight 6 out of 10.
못 참아내 굿! 못 참아내 굿!
Did you know that A Wednesday was remade in Tamil, Telugu, and also as a Hollywood movie?
Yes, and we will never watch them.
Let's watch Vikram Vedha.
Good idea. You can hit me up on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram simply at @TheJimmyCage.
And you can hit me up simply at the Buddymeister.
And if you enjoyed this episode, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, whatever you like, and make sure you hit that bell for all we have to tell.